Welcome back, everybody, to this week's live episode of the DCL Duo podcast, brought to you by My Path Unwinding Travel and also our friends over at WDW Magazine. So, got to put a plug in for WDW Magazine. DCL Magazine really is what we're what we're hoping to make a reality here. So, if you have not already, head over to DCL-magazine.com to sign up to their wait list, and they're hoping to have a magazine out here real soon. And it's high quality photos, high quality articles. We will even hopefully be contributing an article to the first issue. So head over there, DCL-magazine.com to sign up. And if you want to buy something from their store or maybe get one of their magazine subscriptions, use the code DCL Duo, all caps, for 10% off everything over there in the WDW Magazine store. But Sam, with that, we've got the guest of guests, Scott Gustin, with us this evening to talk all about the Disney treasure. So let me start by welcoming Scott. Hey, Scott.
Hey, how's it going?
Great. Going good, yeah.
Great, yes.
We're so excited to have you back on. You've been on the show before, but this is your first time on our live show. So super fun for everybody to see you and hear from you more directly. So great to have you back, Scott. Now, Scott was one of the media folks invited to go to the Disney Treasure tour in New York City when she was up there being looked at by all kinds of media outlets. And of course, some travel agents were invited up as well. We had Emily on last week to talk about her impressions, and we've brought Scott on to talk about his impressions of the Disney Treasure. For those who don't know, Scott reports on all things Disney. I mean, his Twitter or X account is like completely well known for breaking news on all things about parks, about Disney Cruise Line. I don't know where he has sources, but I feel like he has sources probably in every corner of the Walt Disney Company, because he is often the first to report on whatever happenings or whatever announcements are coming for Disney.
All the treasure. All the treasures, all the breaking news treasures, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a lot to keep up with, but the cruise stuff is my personal favorite. Like cruise, so it's always fun to get to cover that stuff. And there's a lot of Disney Cruise Line news now, but also coming in the next 5 years. So it's gonna be fun.
Oh, yeah. With 13. We have a great comment from our friend CT over at Tinfoil Mouse Ears. Whenever he sees a rumor, he checks Scott's feed first. And we also have Josh McHenry saying Scott has all the best news. These are completely true statements. We've got some other folks saying hello, and Wesley telling his wife he's going to call her back after the show because he's got to watch us. So lots of folks tuning in. Well, Brian, I'll let you sort of lead off because I know you want to sort of organize. Do you want to remind folks though about our giveaway that we have going on before we dive into the meat of the show?
Yeah, I wanted to let folks know actually two things. One, so we do have a giveaway running right now, thanks to the folks over at WDW Magazine who've given us a fun little prize package that includes a 2025 wall calendar and then their last year's holiday issues of both WDW and DLR Magazine. To enter that giveaway, you need to do three things. One, if you've already left us a 5-star written review over on Apple Podcasts, you've already fulfilled number one. But if you haven't, that's first step. Head over there, leave us a 5-star written review over on Apple Podcasts. Two, we did a fundraiser for Tunnel to Towers in honor of our friend CT, Tinfoil Mouse Ears, whose father passed recently. We wanted to do something to honor him and his CT's family. So head over, make a minimum of a $5 donation to Tunnel to Towers. Screenshot both your review and the donation and send them to us at dclduo@gmail.com to be entered to win the prize package from WDW Magazine. We will be drawing that tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last day to enter. So we'll be drawing that tomorrow and then sending that off to the good folks at WDW Magazine to send on to the winner. And then I wanted to let folks know that actually our fundraiser was very successful. We raised $1,000 in donations to Tunnel to Towers. We have now matched $1,000 of that ourselves, and I have now had that matched by my employer. So we raised $3,000 at least for Tunnel to Towers, and people should keep giving through the holidays here. And if you're looking for a good charity, Tunnel to Towers really helps veterans out in the community. So please consider donating and supporting our friend CT. So with that, let's start talking about the Disney Treasure. I have a little presentation. I'm hoping that this will work. We're doing it in the window here so we get the audio from it, but I want to start by I'm going to roll some B-roll over as we talk here. But the Disney Treasure, made it to her home in Port Canaveral and sailed in. That'll be what's rolling over as we're watching here now. Scott, you were up in New York for the Treasure. Did you go? Did you make it to the christening and the tour afterwards, or were you just there for the tour?
Yeah, we did the christening, which was a few piers down from where we had the tour. But yeah, we did the christening event. Not sure how I feel about these christenings. That's not an actual
where you don't break the bottle, but, right? I'm with you, Scott. When I actually love the drone show, and I love that they had the bottle in the drone show, but the bottle should have looked like at least that it was hitting the ship and then exploded instead of it just exploding. I don't know how you feel.
Well, for folks at home, here's what this looked like. So this is the this was the christening event that Disney did. Obviously, they're singing what we figured out the name for this the other day, Sam, because we had forgotten what it was called. The song by Jordan Sparks. No.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah. Live the Advent. I can't remember.
Live the Adventure.
No, Seize the Adventure. I don't know. Live the Treasure. Yeah. I can't remember. It's a song
it's all those words.
Yeah, all those words.
If it's a Disney song, you just seize the magic adventure. Like it's close enough.
Enough. Well, and they can use this song this way. They created one song. They can probably reuse it for the adventure next year. So it's perfect.
Yeah. So for those of you at home who's hearing the background noise, we're rolling the B-roll video that Disney provided us of the christening as we're talking here. And I think the thing to take away from the christening was the drone show, which I don't know, Scott, was it as impressive live as it was when we were watching it on TV?
Yeah, it was really cool. I'd seen the show at Disney Springs, which was surprisingly impressive the first time I saw it. I feel like if I had not seen it, I would have been probably even more blown away. But it's still, with that backdrop, all of the imagery that they had in the show was super cool. And I'm still not a fan of what we're looking at right now. But it's fine. Yeah. Like, it's not a big deal. Yeah. It's better than the christening they had for the Wish, which was just like on the screen. I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. It was like a cartoon like bottle that then burst.
Unfortunately, like both times I kind of had was that it? Or like was that telling us that we're here for the christening, or was that the actual christening? And I know they had like a more appropriate, or I guess proper, like bottle christening on the boat, I think, with the crew. I think I saw a photo of that. So I'll let it slide. But it was the drone show was really cool.
Yeah, and here's what we've been talking about. So they did the drones into a shape of a bottle, and here in a second you'll see they kind of crack it, and they didn't even show that part. So what happens in on the show is it
didn't even make the B-roll cut.
Yeah.
That's how lame.
It just like disintegrates. It doesn't, or like breaks apart. It's yeah.
I mean, there were supposed to be fireworks with this too, but at this time in New York, there was a drought. And I think there still is a drought. There actually was a wildfire in the city in one of the parks that night happening. And so unfortunately they from what I understand, they took it about as high as you could go to try to get it approved to shoot off the fireworks, but the city said no. So it was supposed to be fireworks and drones, but the drones were really cool.
Yeah. Well, I made the joke that they should have them on they should replace the fireworks at sea with drones at sea. As I've thought about that further, that would be impossible because you need such a huge space and a high number of drones to do this. There's no way they could have them all on the ship or launch them off the ship.
Yeah, you would need like a boat to trail the ship to house the drones and then take them back to land to recharge. But I mean,
they could do what Virgin does. They could hang out at like Castaway Key and launch them from the runway there and do a kind of a night drone show. So yeah,
that would be cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. Very cool.
That would make leaving Castaway less painful if you got to like as you're leaving and look back and see that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So right now I'm just for everyone at home. Please head over to the YouTube channel and watch this because we've got a lot of great video from Disney. So I'm showing some aerial videos right now that Disney supplied of the treasure just at sea. Obviously, gorgeous ship. So it's some great video, and I'd head over and watch it. Let's dive into some of the spaces on board, Scott. Since we have you at we got an hour and that's it with Scott tonight because he's got a hard stop. And so I want to dive into some of the spaces on board. As you sort of think about it, the first space you probably saw was the Grand Hall. What did you think on entering the ship? You've been on the Wish and now the Treasure. Did it feel different?
It felt very different. I think on the Wish, the Grand Hall is one of my favorite spots on the Wish. Like I think it's a very pretty space, but even it being one of my favorite places on the Wish, the Treasure completely knocks it out. Like it's just
really,
it is a wow. It's a wow reveal, and I don't like. I think it's also we're getting used to the ship layout a little bit, so it wasn't so jarring like it was in the Wish to see the stage and things just not the way that we all know them to be. If you've been on the fantasy and the dream, the magic and the wonder, but it just is for some reason when I first saw it, it was way more of a kind of a wow moment versus when we first saw the Wish. But I like the hall on both spaces. There's a lot of we'll talk more, but there's a lot of spots that the Treasure beats out the Wish. I feel like for the Grand Hall, it's pretty close, but yeah, I'd still give it to the Treasure.
I'm curious what you think about this space as a wedding venue, because I know on the Wish, the Grand Hall is very often used for people who are getting married as sort of the favored wedding venue, I would say, on the Wish for the ceremony, not for the party, obviously. And that might also be because it's 3-4 night cruises. And so weddings tend to happen on those cruises more often than a 7-night cruise. But I don't know. I get the wedding vibes from the Wish. I'm not sure I get them from the Treasure.
Yeah, I would say the Wish would be more favorable backdrop for a wedding. But it's probably just classic wedding theme. I think the Wish would probably fit, but both being beautiful spaces, they both probably work in their own right. The one thing that just in this video right now, the plants and the stuff around the stairs, I don't think that looks good in photos and video, but it's for some reason in person, it works a lot better. But it is, to me, it is weird to see that. It's right. It's just a weird, jarring thing. It's one of the things I've always thought is kind of strange with the Royal Caribbean ships and all the plants and stuff they have in there. But for some reason in person, it works better than what I was seeing in photos. But just a small thing.
And we did, I don't know if they confirmed for you, Scott, but we've heard that there's 6 smaller chandeliers around the main chandelier, and they represent the other ships in the fleet currently. It's the 6 ships of the Disney fleet. I think that chandelier is stunning and very different from what we've seen on some of the other ships. Do you know if it does assuming it's going to do some kind of show like they do on the Wish? I mean, there's enough lights up there and everything in the ceiling.
Yeah, there is the name of it is escaping me. There is a final, I want to say it's something like Find Your Treasure or something, but there is a show at the end of the cruise similar to the Kiss Goodnight that will happen on the Treasure. I had not heard that those are representing the ships. I know they have little hidden characters like on your screen now. The 2 in the middle, there's Minnie on the left and Donald is in there on the right. If you
I
zoom,
see Minnie. I can't see,
yeah,
but I see Minnie. What you're talking about?
Donald's kind of in that same area. And then there's other characters on the other one. So I saw the characters on those, but I did not see or did not hear that they were representing the ships. But
Did
that
you
would be
see
cool.
did you see if Ariel was on there? Because if they represent the different ships, then it could be the atrium characters of the ships, right? Because you've got Minnie and you've got Donald. I'm curious if you noticed.
I don't remember.
Okay.
I do think that there was one. I do think there was one that had the genie lamp on it, though.
Oh,
I think
there
those are
you
maybe
go.
yeah. So that's a good theory. That's
Yeah.
probably
And then Cinderella or something Cinderella would be on
yeah.
one, right? And so yeah, that would I will tell you, when I saw these lamps, I said to Brian, I bet that the 6 represent the 6 ships.
Yeah.
And then he told me, "Oh, I think you're right," a few days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that makes a lot of sense. The preview that we had, we only had like 10 minutes in most of these spaces. So a lot of my memory is like going back and looking at photos. Like I took photos of things that I didn't have time to even look at or process in real time.
Yeah.
So I have to go back. I know I took some close-up photos of the chandelier type piece here and see what those are.
Yeah, one thing I saw today on social media. So folks, folks are obviously now on these, like they did their first week-long sailing. There's all these preview sailings happening. Someone posted today an activity they did on board in the Grand Hall. The chandelier is turned kind of a greenish color, and the whole hall is kind of emerald green. And they're doing something called the Jungle Cruise, an interactive story adventure in the Grand Hall, which couldn't be closer to the theme of this ship. Just so great to see them doing that. So I'm excited to try that out. I don't know exactly what it was. There was some video kind of people that looks like they had taped off like 2 boats in the ground, and people were kind of trying to sit on the ground and be in the boats. And it's cool to see some of the new stuff that they're going to do to embrace this kind of adventure theme and the spaces on board. So yeah.
That's cool.
I will say I have heard that there are many new like activities. I haven't heard what they are, but I've heard
Which is
from
great. It's just great.
but I've heard from insiders that there are many new activities that are going to be debuting on the Treasure. I'm sure they're already debuting as we speak. As Brian mentioned, they're on the second cast preview cruise this week. So last week they did a 7-night. This week they're doing another 7-night. Then I believe there's then I believe preview cruises for like travel agents and media start on maybe the 9th of December. And I'll be on one on the 12th with our travel agent sponsor, Karen from My Path Unwinding Travel. Yeah.
All right, let's head to one of the spaces that I know people are like just beyond excited to see, which is the Haunted Mansion Parlor. Scott, what was it like? To me, this looks like it blows Hyperspace Lounge just out of the water. So I don't know if this is one of the spaces that you thought was much better than the Wish.
It is not even. It's almost misleading to even talk about how they are in the same space, which they are, because they're so. This space is so much better. Like, it's not even that I am more of a Parks fan than I am a Star Wars fan. It's not even that. It's just. They went all in on this, and it makes sense now, knowing that they're going to put this on the next ship, on the Destiny too, because they felt really good about it and they nailed it. I mean, it's absolutely what it should be. You walk in, and it's as a funny comparison. When you first heard about Galaxy's Edge, it kind of was this idea that Disney was like, we're just going to spend whatever we have to build this immersive world. And they just said, forget about the budget initially, like when they first were building it. And then of course there were the cutbacks. For this, it was kind of the same thing. It was just kind of like, go nuts. Like every inch of this space is used in some way. If it's just to use it for a feature, for a trick, there's like 8 rotating shows throughout your time in there. Every inch is thought about, which is not the case with Hyperspace at all. And they, it's just kind of like they didn't overlook a single thing, not a chair, not a table, not a corner, not wallpaper, not anything. And it is a amazing immersive space for it to be so small.
Yeah.
And it works being small, whereas hyperspace kind of felt like that was working against it. Like this, it works amazingly well.
Did they say anything to you all about how they're going to manage the crowds in this space? I mean, for the Wish, right? They had this like whole procedure to get like a reservation to go in and limited time. Have they said anything about how they plan to manage this on the Treasure? Do the same thing, or are they just going to open the doors and first come, first serve?
I think they're going to start out that way. The same way they did with hyperspace. They really did that, and it kind of, I wouldn't say they were caught off guard, but they kind of wanted to wait and see how things played out before they committed to saying they would have a wait list. I anticipate, at least in the first few months, it will be the same thing as hyperspace. You'll have to sign up in the app. They're not going to have the line backing up to the Grand Hall, people being told, 2-hour wait, whatever it is. It's going to be a hot ticket in the app as an activity for the first couple months, and then it'll probably chill out. But it's been getting such positive reviews, and the reaction has been so good for it that even the curious are going to want to check it out. So I think it's, especially in the first few months, it's going to be tough.
Scott, I wonder what you think of this question that Wesley's asking. Who thinks the overwhelming enthusiasm for Haunted Mansion Parlor will prompt a hyperspace lounge redo? Because obviously the bones of the room are the same, right? It's the same. It's in the same place on the ship. It's the same size. It's got the bar in the same place. Like, the Wish will be due for her 5-year, retrofit or dry dock in, pretty soon. I'm thinking they're not going to, because it's a huge investment, obviously, to retheme hyperspace into Haunted Mansion Parlor. I think it would be a win if they did, because as you mentioned, this is like such a great space. And I think, even though I want different theming on the Destiny, I think this was a smart move for them to just, that they're going to replicate this on the Destiny. But I'm curious what you think as far as, sort of, this is a prognostication, so we don't have inside information on this, but like, if you were Disney, what would you do to Hyperspace Lounge? Would you retheme it to make it Haunted Mansion Parlor?
If it were me, then I would, but I don't think that it's possible at all. Like in the near term, I think they might revisit hyperspace if there's another idea or they want to do something different, but the return on it is not there. And you have to think about the way they want their ships to be different. The Wish and the Treasure, both sitting at Port Canaveral, they're different, right?
Yep.
You put the Parlor on the Destiny going out of Fort Lauderdale, different cruises, different lengths. It's a different offering. I don't think that's a blocker necessarily, like to have them both in Port Canaveral with the same venues. It's not a blocker from the beginning, but to go change it to that, I think they would go another way. Either improving Hyperspace Lounge maybe at some point down the road, or just doing something different.
I'm really hoping, Scott, that they just improve Hyperspace Lounge.
Yeah.
But
I think is like the return would have to be like, I don't even know where the return would come from.
Well, I think the one thing I would say is it seems like, to the extent they're making like revenue investment, like decisions to improve revenue, like I don't know that Hyperspace Lounge is performing all that well as a bar on board the ship. So if you maybe spice it up a little bit, you get more people in there and using that space. I think that could be the argument. I also think CT might be right. If they see like a massive improvement in revenue through the new lounge, the Haunted Mansion Parlor on the Treasure, they may say we got to make a little bit of an investment in the one on the Wish to see that kind of return again. But yeah, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. I wanted to pause. You mentioned how they've gone into every detail. I saw this photo of like these, bottled colas and lemonades that are clearly like made specific for the Haunted Mansion Parlor. I don't know, Scott, did you get a chance to sample any of the food and beverage in any of these venues?
They had a couple drinks out. I did not sample any of these, but I was just, I loved the look of it. I mean, the idea that they actually did it is incredible. But just the display of them is so so pretty. And of course, this thing was amazing to see. It looks, it's a lot easier to see it in these photos than it was when I was in there for a kind of a limited amount of time. But this is a really cool thing to have in there. But I love that they didn't just go hard on the decor, and they have some really unique offerings behind the bar too. And it's makes the whole experience fun for everyone. If you're just going in there to check it out, like if you're just going in there, if you're bringing your kids in there just to go be like, check out this Haunted Mansion space. And then of course for adult time to have some good offerings. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. For folks at home, for folks, for folks at home, we've got photos up of some of the bottled, like bespoke bottled lemonades and colas and things that are going to be in the Haunted Mansion parlor. There's also a special drink. So we did get a question about whether there is a Kyber crystal like drink in the Haunted Mansion parlor, the like $500 or $1,000 drink. $5,000. Oh, $5,000 drink. I've bought so many. And so there is not in the Haunted Mansion parlor. We'll talk about in a second. There is a drink in it's Scat Cat Lounge, the new clarified bourbon drink, which is like they clarify the bourbon so it's clear, and they put it in that really funky cat glass that everyone was floating around. That is $130 drink on board to get, which I'm not surprised by, because you can't just go buy a bottle of clarified bourbon. As far as I know, you have to actually make it. But what I'm showing now is it's almost like a candle holder, for lack of it. It's a bat, and on either side of the bat there's like a place for a drink, and this is I think a drink for two basically, and it's on a special kind of hidden menu on the tablet in the bar that you can order this off of. And then the next set of photos are the two Tiki mugs that they released the design art for a while ago, but now we have actual photos of these things, and couldn't agree more. Everything about this space looks just phenomenal.
It's so cool. Yeah. What you had up was the Mariner and the Mermaid drinks, and there are specific drinks that go in these different cups that are on the menu. We've seen pictures of the menus online, and of course Scott on his X account, that platform formerly known as Twitter, has a video showing how you do the secret menu order, and it's really quite cool in order to be able to order, and so that you can order that 2-person drink that we just showed you on the screen. So pretty darn cool.
All right, I'm excited to move to. So
just go ahead. No, go ahead, and if anyone thinks that Disney will be adding a Kyber crystal type drink to Haunted Mansion, it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I think
good.
I think just my gut feeling on it is that it was received exactly how we all think it was received, and it didn't work.
Yeah.
So even though they may have sold some, but that is not something I would expect to see them trying. So
they sold more on
the top.
They sold more on the Maiden than they probably sold in the rest of that first 6 months, though. They sold, I think, like 4 or 5 of them on the Maiden voyage alone, and that they didn't expect to. But then, of course, like I said, I'm sure they didn't sell for 6 months after that or something.
Well, and the people who ordered it were all videoing it and getting absolutely skewered for it online. Yeah. So,
And here we are talking about it. Like, it didn't even accomplish probably what one might hope it would. Like, you don't want that perception to be for something, the perception of that offering to be what it was, for it to be received the way it was, and then very few people actually buying it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's just not worth it. So
yeah, anyway. For sure. All right, I want to move on to what I am thinking is going to be one of my favorite spaces on the ship. And what I love here is that Disney took a risk and decided not to just do the standard Irish pub. They're branching out. This is the Periscope Pub now, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea themed. Scott, I don't know if you got a chance to tour the Periscope Pub and what you thought about it. I mean, it looks like they did a pretty good job with it. I'm impressed. Yeah.
It is the not hidden anymore, because we're talking about it, and there's obviously this video and more video and photos of the spot, but it was, for everyone that I talked to, kind of the hidden gem in terms of what we saw. Like, we knew the Haunted Mansion Parlor was going to be great. I didn't really think much of this going into it, but it is so well done. From the show that happens, just the ambiance in there. It's a really needed space. Like that type of space on a Disney ship is really needed, and for it to be, people would use a space even if it had no theming. So for it to have like a great theming in addition to being a needed space on that ship is pretty fun. So I'm glad you're looking forward to it. It won't disappoint. It's really well done.
Well, and you're so right, because Keg and Compass is used a lot for people who want to watch sports games. It's also used a lot for various adult trivia activities. And so it will be a well-utilized space regardless, but it's really nice to see them actually do some real theming, because the prior iterations of this space have all been, they're fine. They're, and they're Disneyfied, but they are more just regular old pub.
Yep. My single criticism of this space, just having watched the video and see the photos, is I really wanted the Periscope to actually do so. Like you could go up and look in it. It would have like a camera out the front of the ship, or just something. But otherwise, this looks phenomenal. It looks just really, really phenomenal. I wanted to throw up a couple of comments here. So to the point about the clarified drink in Scat Cat, Michael, who loves a good old fashioned like I do, is reminding me that it ruins the bourbon. To clarify it, I guess I'll find out on the maiden. I think I will probably end up ordering one of those drinks. And Tom is saying, so happy they changed the utilization for Periscope Pub versus Keg and Compass. The bar in the back, like that, makes the space appear bigger. I actually had the same reaction. Yeah,
100%. And when you're in there, like that is a great observation, because when you're in there, it really feels like they doubled the size of Keg and Compass because of that. And I couldn't figure it out. And it is exactly that. Having that in the back, all the open space in between, it is a much better layout. The layout of it was confusing for me until I was there, because I kept looking at the renderings, and with the bar being in the back, I could not orient myself until I was in there. And I was like, this is great. And it feels twice as big. Absolutely.
Yeah. This is a really interesting comment by Wesley, and it's something I wanted to sort of talk about too when we move to the next space here, which is Skipper Society, which is, sort of a streetmosphere aspect to these bars. And I think we've talked about that at the Skipper Society in terms of like, the bartenders, are they going to be more like Jungle Cruise skippers? Are they going to have a, bevy of puns to throw at you when you're ordering or when they're serving you, or any chances that we'll see some of the Adventurer Society characters maybe around the ship? I doubt if Disney said anything to you about that, Scott, but did you hear anything along those lines as you were doing the media tour?
I didn't, but it's a good idea and I like it. I mean, they obviously have characters everywhere. So why not something like that? I love it. It would be, and in there, it would be perfect. That would be the perfect spot for someone to just be passing through. That would be a lot of fun.
I did see the render. I mean, they've had the costumes out for a while for the different spaces. And I will say, it looks like they even invested kind of in that area, right? Like dressing the crew up in more costume-like uniforms for being in Periscope or Haunted Mansion, which I think is...
And Skipper Society as well, which I know we'll get to soon, yeah.
In fact, we were there.
Well, one more thing on Periscope Pub, if you look at their name tags, I shared a picture online, but their name tags are an exact replica of the original Nautilus attraction cast member name tags.
That's so cool.
And so, but instead of, if you look at those, the cast members wore, and it's like a highly sought after pin, because it was, everyone wanted it, and people were trading them and selling them, but it had an N on it. But for Periscope Pub, it has a P instead of the N. But it's an exact replica of that original opening day cast member pin from Nautilus.
And this is why Disney does things so well. Like, they pay attention to those minute details that the guest will notice, because that's just an incredible nod to the ride.
They did here. I feel like this is what we wanted from The Wish, and then we waited and we got it from the treasure kind of thing. Like everything on the Wish just felt like, and understandably so, is being built in the middle of the pandemic. There were shortages. It felt like it got value engineered a little bit too.
But here's the thing, Brian, of the Magic class, the Wonder is the better ship. Of the Dream class, the Fantasy is the better ship.
Those are fighting words, Sam, for
Listen,
some.
I don't care if they're fighting words. Other people, come at me, people. All right. Well, and on the Wish class, let's be honest, the treasure is going to be better than the Wish. The Destiny might be even better. I don't know. It'll be hard to beat this, but I'm really looking forward to the heroes and villains theming on the Destiny. So yeah, I mean, sometimes they just have to, they have the first time is a practice run, and then the second time they just knock it out of the park. So
yeah. All right, well, let's talk about Skipper Society. I know a lot of folks are really excited about Skipper Society and the Jungle Cruise themed bar. The first thing that strikes me about this space is it is so bright and open, and I don't feel like the Bayou is necessarily like that on the Wish. But Scott, tell us first impressions that you had going through Skipper Society.
Yeah, it is it's 10 times better than what it was in the Wish. I don't know if it's not worth booking a cruise, but it's not.
Right,
like
this space alone.
Don't go for this space.
Gotcha.
But this is another example of where Disney didn't have to go as hard as they did. In that last shot, all of the things on the wall, you can just spend so much time just looking at every little detail of all the theming. It's so well done. It's just a space that people are going to go to anyway, but to have all of these nods and things that actually mean something for people who know the attraction is it's wonderful. And I mean, this seat, from the light fixtures to what's on the wall, everything is extremely well done. Whereas this space on the Wish is completely forgettable. Like you said, is the Bayou?
The Bayou. It's beautiful with the leaves, but the beignets are more memorable than anything else.
The beignets, that's right. I do remember that. When you said, I was kind of completely spacing out on what is outside of hyperspace, but yeah, this is much more, still not worth booking a cruise, but it's much more something that you'll want to go check out. Cool little nod for the M's Express, which is the river where they bring the ships over. But that's a cool little hidden thing there.
Well,
I love these new tables.
They're going to have some kind of waffle thing instead of the beignets here.
Yes, you can see that here. I pulled some of the photos of the food. So here's the smoked old fashioned that they'll be serving. I want to see this as a caramel martini. I'm trying to remember what they called it. And then a waffle instead of beignets. And then here's that booth that we were just talking about. That light fixture with the parrots on it is just stunning, and all of this stuff on the wall that you can get lost in for sure. I wanted to say I like these new seats in the back. They did a lot to really kind of open up space, because in the Bayou on the Wish, it's all tiny little tables kind of everywhere, I feel like. And so this is just a really nice relaxing space.
There's some booths in that area too, Brian, but they're different shaped than what they are in this picture. So I'm trying to remember the exact shape that they are, but I'll be honest, this is the space that I have been most looking forward to. I mean, apart from Haunted Mansion Parlor, I'm a huge Jungle Cruise fan. I love I love a good pun, and I love the skippers, and I just can't wait for this. I'm hoping we'll have, and we had one comment earlier. I'm not going to scroll back to find it, but I'm hoping for things like thunder and squirt guns and things like that, like you see at Trader Sam's I love Disney. I love Trader Sam's at the Disneyland Hotel. I know they have one at Poly. I don't know that I've actually been to the one at the Polynesian. But yeah, I love that. And of course I did hear that they're going to have the hippopotami Mai Tai, which is one of the drinks from the Trader Sam's menu. There might be other ones that are repeats, but I love that this is a nod to the ride and of course to Trader Sam's as well. And so it's
this tiki glass of an actual Jungle Cruise boat is just phenomenal.
It's just chef's kiss. It's so good. So fun.
Phenomenal.
And I will take back what I said about not booking a cruise for this if it ends up being like a Trader Sam's
right.
ambiance. If we end up there, I didn't get the feeling that we are, but
Okay.
like if we do,
yeah,
I'm all in for that. Like that would be amazing.
That's the thing, Scott, that I've been hoping for. I've been really hoping for like the cast to be like in character as skippers, just like they do at Trader Sam's, like to be the skipper rejects or whatever. I love the interaction in Trader Sam's, and so I've been hoping, but I know with Cruise Line that's harder to pull off. Like in the same, it was sort of the same hope with Hyperspace Lounge that it would be more like Star Cruiser, where the cast stays in character and adopts a persona of an alien planet and all of that, like Homeland. But this is different, and I know Cruise Line is different, and they can't do as much of that immersive stuff, but I'm still hoping for a little bit of it. I'm hoping for some punny jokes. I really am.
So Tracy has ferreted out that was a creme brulee martini. That was my mistake, a creme brulee martini. Martha Goodwin saying, "Just take all my money for the tiki mugs." Yeah, there is so much great glassware on
this ship. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna be selling a lot of it. I don't know about the cat glass and Scat Cat, but I believe all these tiki mugs here, that there are tiki mugs in Skipper Society, and there are tiki mugs obviously in
I think
Parlor for purchase.
I think they learned their lesson with those bird glasses from Nightingales that just like they ended up with, by the time they got to the maiden, they had like 2 left and they had to take people's IDs to give them out. Yeah. So yeah.
They walked off the ship, those Nightingale glasses. So they really have to do something to combat that. Yeah.
Scott, another sort of maybe a lesser focused on space, but still something new, the Jumbo Suites. What did you think about this space on board when you got a chance to see it?
It's cute. I mean, it's fun. The tubes over there with the animals going down in the tube, like just like in the movie. I mean, kids are gonna love to pose with the characters there at the table. Even the pops there.
Wait, what do you mean, kids, Scott? What do you mean, kids? I mean, I'm gonna pose with Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde.
Kids big and small. Kids big and small. The frozen pops like has a little effect on the glass, so they look cold there. It's a cute space. The same type of food. They have some themed food specifically for this spot, like the Paul Pop and the I don't think they have the Jumbo Pop. I didn't see, like I saw it on display here, but I didn't see anything behind the counter that was like that. They had some Rice Krispie treats that have like a little chocolate paw print on them. And then of course they just have the gelato, typical stuff. But it'll be interesting to see what on the actual cruises, what they have out. For when we were there, it was kind of a demo sampler of what they're going to offer, and not really the full, what looked like the full menu. So, but
I did want a Jumbo Pop. I really actually was hoping for an actual popsicle. I thought that would be cool. But yeah, I think they've gone for the ice cream sandwich on a stick or something version of it. So yeah.
Well, and the popsicles that are the little paws, they are just like, they're like some kind of cookie on a stick. They're not actually like an ice pop, which that's a little bit disappointing. I wouldn't mind like the little small ice pop on a stick. Yeah. That would be more fun.
All right, well, we got to spend some time talking about Coco because everybody has been waiting for the Mexican restaurant on a ship forever, and so Plaza de Coco. Yeah, Scott, what did you think about Plaza de Coco? I don't know if they did any sort of like, mini version of some of the shows or anything or like that, but yeah, what did you think of Plaza de Coco?
Yeah, we got a little sample of one of the 2 shows. We only got a taste, and it's basically what's in the B-roll here. It's already, I can already tell I'm going to like it better than the Frozen show. Just because the presentation of what's happening feels more authentic because of the type of restaurant that it is. It doesn't feel like, who are these people that are now singing to us for the majority of the show in Arendelle? Like the Coco show, like this is what, like Familia, this is how you would expect for it to be presented. The music feels a little bit more natural for the setting. It just all feels like the perfect type of show for the actual venue and the setting at the restaurant. So I love Mexican food. I love the Donald's Cantina on both the Wish and the Treasure was a very, very needed quick service, Mexican ish food. And
Chipotle at sea, we like to call it. On this
close
show.
enough, right? Yeah, Chipotle at sea. It is really nice to have that as an option on the cruise. And then to go even further here with Coco, the menu looks really good. We only got to see a few of the items, but like we had the chorizo croquettes that were on the appetizer menu, and I swear it's like one of the best things I've had on a cruise line. And it was just like this big, and everyone at our table had the same reaction. And so we went and got another sampler of the item, of the croquettes. They were delicious. If everything feels as freshly made as those, and they were handing out like, this was not like a small group. The restaurant was full of people that were there to preview it, and they were just handing out little sampler trays. So these were not, anything that wouldn't represent what you're actually going to get on the cruise. They were mass made and served out, and they were still amazing. So I am super, super excited for this, to be on a ship and to be able to go twice on a 7 day, or 3 times, I guess, with the different menu you would have on that extra night. But to go have 2 unique shows in Coco, 2 different menus, it's going to be great.
Yeah. 2 nights of like Mexican, like fancier Mexican food, not just Donald's Cantina, Chipotle at sea. Yeah, this looks amazing. I think the menu looks really, really good as well. From what we've seen online, looks fantastic. They do have guacamole, I think, one night, but not. We had said they need to have like chips and guacamole.
That's right there.
Everywhere.
The guacamole is right here on the left.
Yeah.
Yeah. So for folks at home again, we've got some photos up of the food and beverage, at least, what Disney has supplied. A couple of desserts. It appears that they have like a Dios de Muertos kind of sipper cup that they're going to be offering in the restaurant. I did want to pick up on a comment that Taryn made, and I had the same reaction here watching the video, is that I got to say the sight lines in this restaurant look so much clearer than what we've been seeing in the Arendelle restaurant. Yeah, it just looks like they really kind of cleaned up some of the sight lines and made it better for all the tables in the restaurant. So I hope that's right. I don't know if you had an impression of that, Scott, when you were in there, but this just looks like you can see more from more places. So yeah,
it does. I think it's also just the show itself lends itself to being enjoyed when you can't see it. Whereas the Frozen show, it just kind of always felt like you needed to see what was going on. Whereas even if you don't have the best seat here, it's like it's an ambiance. It's a feeling. It's just like going to a celebration, or the Frozen storyline is like a forced celebration of it, right? It's still very, very character driven, and you have the visuals that you want to have, and you want to be able to see what's going on for the interaction that's happening in this. But it's really more about the songs, the singing, and just kind of like everyone is in it together versus it's a stage. And I think that probably is why it may feel that everyone has a good view, is for that reason. I think the stage is maybe a little more elevated, but I'm not sure on that.
Well, and in Arendelle, you have a bit of a mocking of Frozen, if that makes sense, because you've got what's his name? Oaken, Wandering Oaken is the one who's singing Let It Go. And so, or maybe not Let It Go, the other song, I can't remember. But anyway, he's singing an Elsa song. And so it's a little bit of a mocking of Frozen as opposed to just like a singing that this one seems to be. One question that came up in the chat, Tom is asking, for the Wish, Arendelle has Olaf's Royal Picnic. Has there been any announced or rumored similar event for the Treasure? What they're talking about is on the other ships, on the 4 classic ships, there is a royal tea that happens with princesses. On the Wish, there is a tea type experience that happens in the Arendelle restaurant with Olaf. The answer that I know is they have not announced it, but there is something coming. I just don't think it's ready yet. But I don't know if you have any different information, Scott.
I don't. I haven't heard, but I will ask and see if I can get an answer. So
awesome.
I will check on that.
Nice. The last place I want to take us, because I know we got a hard stop here with Scott, is just, I don't know what they may have previewed for you, Scott, in terms of the Moana stage show. So I'm rolling some B-roll here of what Disney supplied from, their video of the show. did they talk at all about the new Moana stage show and or show you some of the sets and things like that, or show you a preview or anything?
Yeah, we saw the first act. I think it was a good 20 minutes of the show. It's gonna be the best show on a Disney Cruise Line. It is.
You have just made my heart so happy, Scott. You cannot. I am a huge theater person, and
Yeah.
I think that Frozen is incredible. I think Tangled is incredible. I think Beauty and the Beast is the best of all of them thus far. But I have been so excited. We love Moana in this household. We watch it when we go on cruises all the time. And I cannot wait to see it on the stage. Like, I think this is going to be incredible. I know Disney does stage shows better than anyone, and so I just know they're going to do this justice.
Yep. I mean, it is in the way that Cruise Line typically has to find kind of clever ways to retell a story. It has that, and it is, I'm not going to spoil it, but it is a little jarring the way that they have to approach this retelling of. So there might be a moment in the beginning where you're kind of like, what is happening?
Okay, I can
when you start noticing things that are not explained yet, and then when they explain, like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing. But the talent in this show, especially Moana, I'm very excited for everyone to get to experience it, because I feel pretty confident that it's going to be the best reviewed show. And I haven't even seen the end, but I've heard enough to feel confident in it that it's going to be the best show on Disney Cruise Line.
Nice.
So they've been working on it for a long time too. They started working on this show in 2019.
Wow.
So 5 years of development. Of course, pandemic and everything extended a lot of that. They probably paused it sometimes throughout that, but in what we saw, it shows in how they found some fun ways to tell a story, really good humor, and incredible talent in the show. So,
nice.
We didn't ask you about Scat Cat Lounge. Brian, do you have any video of Scat Cat?
They have not released any video or photos of Scat Cat Lounge, at least not in the press materials that I have access.
Yeah, there are photos out there, but we don't have a video.
Renderings. I think there's renderings. Yeah.
Well, there's photos from people who have gone. I mean, out there on the interwebs. Scott, I know one of the big differences between the Treasure and the Wish, as far as Scat Cat goes, is that there's a part of Scat Cat that's sort of, I'm going to call it indoor, and a part of Scat Cat that's like outside. I know it's not actually outside, but I mean, like, it's in sort of the grand hall, or it blends right into the grand hall, whereas Nightingale's is like its own confined separate space with a glass wall. I wonder if that is and you mentioned that, like, this ship, everything pretty much is better than the Wish. I wonder if that's one of the things that you think is an improvement. And then, of course, what your impressions of Scat Cat were.
Yes, on the layout, like the changes to the way the venues are set up and structured is a win. Really smart changes. As far as that lounge itself, it's fine. It's fine, right? I mean, it's cute. It's a space that is needed. I feel like it's about as loose of a theme as you might ever see for them to have positioned it as the Aristocats theme. And I think they really chose their words as carefully as one might allow to say, this is created by people who were possibly inspired by, like it was just kind of like they didn't want to oversell it.
Right.
But it's a very elegant space, and it works for what it needs to be. I didn't have any of the drinks in there, but everyone they got a little taste of some of the stuff, said it was great. You're not going to get a hard take or a good take on that space for me, except for the changes to the structure. That was a smart way to keep and allow for flowing crowds. It was a good move. So
what you're saying is the Aristocats was playing 3 offices down from the office of the people who were designing the lounge. I got you.
Yeah. Stuck in their head when they were coming up with the idea and place it And then 6 months into the process, they're like, "Oh, that's what that was." But it's fine.
Is that the same for Sarabi? So Sarabi is the replacement for Luna. I mean, it looks very pretty. I do see some more theming in Sarabi than I've seen in Luna.
Sarabi is gorgeous.
Oh,
it's
okay,
gorgeous.
awesome. Yeah.
It is. It's as themed as it can. It's as themed as the space can kind of be for that. But I mean, the color palette in there, I loved it. Like it was just, it was gorgeous. So I think that worked maybe better than the Aristocats did. But they're both still better. I mean, Strawberry definitely, but even the Aristocrat space is better than the Wish. Like there's not a space that they downgraded anywhere. Not a single space. Everything that they changed was improved. Which is someone who's not crazy about this class and the layout. Like that's really all I can ask for as a fan of the ships is just let's figure stuff out and go forward. There are some things I still wish they had changed that they didn't, but everything they changed was for the better. Absolutely.
Are there any spaces we haven't talked about, Scott, that really stood out for you? And maybe one particular question I have is we've heard mixed things about some changes to the pool deck area. I don't know if you saw anything up there that looked drastically different or not. I can't tell from the photos I've seen if there's anything that's much changed, but any spaces that stood out for you we haven't talked about?
I didn't notice any changes to the pool deck, but it wasn't set up as a pool deck really. They had everything covered up and they were using it for like Good Morning America had been there that morning. So there was one part we couldn't even walk over to. But what have they changed up on the deck that you've seen?
Somebody was suggesting that it looked like they had changed the layout of the pools. Now I've seen some
Just
photos,
the balcony area.
Yeah, I've seen some photos since it didn't really look like it was all that drastic of a change if there was one. But I just didn't know if you had seen anything that looked different up there.
If so, I missed it. No, I didn't. But any others? I don't think there's anything else. Any other spaces that changed that I noticed that were unexpected. Everything I think was kind of what we knew going in. I didn't get to spend a lot of time on any of the outside decks. So I will, once I'm on the ship, I'll actually be taking a lot of photos, spending a lot more time there because we really did not get much time on the outside decks. Don't book a cruise for the carpet, but
the carpet is really cool, right?
Is dope. Like it is so good. It is so bright and just like a different for the color palette for cruise line, for Disney Cruise Line. I loved it. Like I was going back through my pictures earlier today and I have so many pictures of the carpet. Like I'm just like I didn't know what I was going to do with it, but
I have seen so many pictures of different various carpets online as well because I totally understand why, because it looks amazing. Like in every elevator space, in hallways, the ones up in the oh my God, like carpet better than last. It's just, I know that sounds weird to say, but anyway, as we wrap up this show, Scott, thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us about the treasure. Tell folks where they can find you and follow along with all of your reporting, where they can follow you online, all those good things.
You can find me on Twitter as long as it's still around. I try to post on Threads and Blue Sky a little bit, but Twitter is still where I'm usually trying to post most of the news updates and other Disney updates. So just find me on there. And if Twitter goes away, I don't know. I guess I'll just be cruising for the rest of my life in silence and enjoying.
I will put a plug in that Scott is one of the only reasons that I still have our X account live. So if you don't follow him there, do. You are also on, to be fair, you're also on Threads now and Blue Sky and some other places, but I know your most active posting is on X. So folks, head over there to Twitter, X, and follow, give Scott a follow. Scott, we really, really appreciate you taking time to spend with our audience and to share your observations about the treasure. For everyone out there, we have another show tomorrow, so it's 2 live shows in a week because we love covering when the treasure comes out, and the Destiny comes out, and the Wish was out. We love covering the new ships. So we have another live show tomorrow night with Benji from Laughing Place, which if you're not familiar with, Benji's been on our show before. You may remember him. He covered the Around the World Adventures by Disney tour. We talked to him about. He's a fabulous, fabulous guest, a deep, deep Disney lover, history buff of Disney. Benji's going to have some very interesting takes, I think, on the treasure, which will be fun to hear. So join us tomorrow night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern tomorrow night, as we talk to Benji about his first impressions of the Disney treasure.
Benji is amazing. Benji is amazing.
Yes.
We just need to say it.
And he's just such a nice person too, Scott. He really
genuine, just so good. Such a good dude. Spent a lot of time with him at the New York City Treasure preview. Yeah, he knows it. He knows it all and has seen it all. Has great takes on everything. So you guys it'll be an awesome conversation. So
we are looking forward to it. So tune in tomorrow night, everybody. With that, thank you again, Scott, for joining us. We love having you on and hope to have you on in the future. But thanks so much for spending some time with us tonight.
You bet. Thanks for having me. See ya.
See ya.